Hi, this is Joy with Stand By to Fly. By spending a little time researching and planning ahead, you can find many budget-friendly things to do in any city. I've put together an easy reference we used to make our trip budget-friendly. While we had a little over 24 hours in Boston, we made the most of our time in the city by wandering around and seeing the most important Boston attractions. Seeing any place in a day is always tricky. However, you can cover a lot of ground with the proper planning. I've got you covered in that regards. Here's our 1 day in Boston itinerary to help you out. From the airport, we took the free Silver Line bus, which leaves from all terminals, to the South Station in central Boston. This ride only takes 20 to 30 minutes depending on traffic. Boston does have taxis, Ubers, and Lyfts available. Luckily, downtown Boston is very walkable. We focused our time on the Freedom Trail. This Boston City Trail beckons you to wind through 2.5 miles of early U.S. history as you follow the red brick path. There are 16 official historic sites ranging from burial grounds to battlefields to meeting houses and a vintage sailing ship. We only had 5 hours to explore. Majority of these sites are free. The most budget-friendly option was to walk it on our own. We printed out the Freedom Walking Trail map from the website, which provided information on each of the 16 sites. We decided to start at the Boston Commons. The Boston Commons is a 44-acre park, which is one of the city's most famous landmarks. This park has been the location of numerous public gatherings. The park was also a campground for the British troops before the American Revolution. Another quick option is to stop in the Visitor Center at the Boston Commons for maps and information. Joining a tour is an option here and probably would provide more information. For us, it was nice to explore the trail at our own pace. Time to find the red brick line on the sidewalk and begin the adventure. From the Visitors Center, look across the street to the Massachusetts State House, which was built in 1798. It is free to visit and open during the weekdays. You can also schedule a 45-minute free walking tour of this building. The newly constructed State House also offers free guided tours daily. As you follow the trail, you'll soon come to the Park Street Church. This church has been active since 1804 and still sees weekly attendance of over 2,000 worshipers. Next door to the Park Street Church is the Granary Burial Grounds, which dates back to the 1660s. We enjoyed wandering through this lovely cemetery with its crooked rows of grave markers. Going back more than 3 centuries, think about the people who lived and died in Boston. This cemetery is the resting place for several important historical figures. We had fun searching for the tombstone of Paul Revere, Samuel Adams, and Benjamin Franklin's parents. Best of all, this was free. A side note, I know from our visit to Philadelphia, it is $5 US to visit the cemetery where Benjamin Franklin is buried. In this cemetery, it's believed that 5,000 people are at rest here, including several important historical figures. Two signers of the Declaration of Independence, Robert Treat Paine and John Hancock, are buried in the cemetery. If you walk 2 blocks along the Freedom Trail, you will come to the King's Chapel. The King's Chapel is also called the Stone Chapel, which was built in 1754. It was the first important building in British America to be built out of cut stone. If time permits, go inside to see the elegant church and look at the exhibits that explore the roles of religion and justice in the birth of the nation. An extra tip: sitting next to the King's Chapel is another cemetery. Mary Chilton, the first woman to step off the Mayflower, is buried here. Continue on the trail past the Boston Latin School site, where the oldest public school in America once stood. A statue of Benjamin Franklin, who was a student at this school, marks the location. Benjamin Franklin is best known as the only founding father who signed all 3 documents that freed America from Britain. He is credited for drafting the Declaration of Independence and the American Constitution. The next stop is the Old South Meeting House that was built in 1729 as a church. In 1773, it hosted a town meeting that led to the Boston Tea Party. Here's an extra tip. Just across the street is where Benjamin Franklin was born. The old State House is next door. It's been a center of business and politics since 1713. The balcony of the old State House is where the Declaration of Independence was first read in public. Inside the old State House, explore the building and the small museum. This museum showcases items from the Revolutionary War, such as a drum played at the Battle of Bunker Hill. See the website in the description for more information. In front of the old State House, look for this medallion. On March 5, 1770, a skirmish broke out between the Redcoats and a crowd of Boston residents. 5 Boston residents were killed, which Paul Revere called a bloody massacre. This event is memorialized with medallions located at the intersection of State and Congress Street. The next stop is the Funnel Hill, which is known as the Cradle of Liberty. It's been a favorite meeting place of groups of all kinds for more than 250 years. It is free to explore. There are a few extras. Outside this building, you'll find the Funnel Hall Marketplace. This marketplace features dozens of restaurants and food vendors. If you go one block past Funnel Hall, you can dine at the Union Oyster House. They offer mouth-watering food that is an experience to remember. The next stop on the path is Paul Revere's house, which is one of Boston's oldest buildings. This was his main residence from 1770 to 1800s. It was from here he left for his famous midnight ride to Lexington in 1775. This site does have a small entrance fee. Make sure to check out the Revere Bell located in the courtyard. The next stop is the Old North Church, which was built in 1723. See the Paul Revere statue depicting his midnight ride. The one if by land or two if by sea famous words is reference to the signal lantern on Paul Revere's midnight ride. These lanterns were hung in the tower of this church on that famous night. Our next stop was the Boston Historical Market District. While wandering the cobblestone streets, bask in the historical 18th and 19th century architecture. This is one of the city's most photogenic spots. We ran out of time and did not get to see the last few stops on the Freedom Trail. But if you have time, check out Cooper's Hill Burial Grounds, Bunker Hill Monument, and the USS Constitution. After a long day of walking, we stopped at Mike's Pastry for a treat. To coin a phrase, yum, yum, delicious. The Freedom Trail offers quite a variety of charming historical sites. Following the trail can easily be done in a day with time to stop for lunch and shopping. Whether you cover the entire trail or your favorite parts, your day of adventure on Boston's Freedom Trail will be full of fun memories you can treasure for years to come. Flying standby is an adventure, and any travel can be done on a budget if you're just willing to be creative.